What's up, innovators? Welcome back to another lesson in the Algebra Fundamentals series. Today we'll be learning how to add and subtract fractions. Let's get to it. You may be asking, what is a fraction exactly? It's a number that is not a whole number. It is the quotient of two numbers. Those two numbers are represented as A and B here. B is the denominator. The denominator indicates how many segments the whole is divided into. A is the numerator. The numerator indicates how many of those segments there are. Say we have 1 over 2. The whole is divided into two segments, and there's one segment out of 2. Now let's say we are trying to add it with 2 over 2. When adding 1 over 2 and 2 over 2 together, intuitively, it makes sense that adding a whole and a half together makes a whole and a half. But what allows us to make this computation? Better yet, what allows us in general to add fractions together? The answer lies in common denominators. Because 1 over 2 and 2 over 2 share 2 as the common denominator, we can add these fractions together. The resulting fraction will have the same denominator, 2, and the numerator will be the addition of the numerators, which would be 1 plus 2, and our answer will be 3 over 2. This is a preview into the technique we'll use generally for adding and subtracting fractions. Now let's look at an example where the common denominators are not the same. In this case, we need to convert the common denominators. However, if we simply change the denominators of each, that changes the entire identity of the number. Recall that anything multiplied by 1 equals itself. If 3 over 4 times 1 equals 3 over 4, then what if we change 1 into fraction form? The value 3 over 4 would stay the same. So what if we did 5 over 5 times 3 over 4? 5 over 5 is the same as 1, and jumping ahead to multiplying fractions, which turns out to be easier than adding, we simply multiply the numerators together, 5 times 3, which equals 15, and then multiply the denominators, 4 times 5, which equals 20. Our result is 15 over 20, which is the same as 3 over 4. Now, why did we choose 5 over 5 to multiply 3 over 4 with? The reason is because we want to find a common denominator. This can only be done by finding a common multiple between 4 and 5, our current denominators. The easiest way to find a common multiple between two numbers is to multiply them together. In this case, 4 times 5 equals 20. 20 is a multiple of 4 and 5. With this in mind, what fraction do we want to multiply 2 over 5 with so we get a common denominator? It should equal 1 but look like a fraction. That's right. It should be 4 over 4. So we're going to multiply 4 over 4 with 2 over 5. This gives us 8 over 20. Now we have common denominators, and we are ready to add fractions. We use the same common denominator, 20, and add the numerators. So we have 15 plus 8, which gives us 23, and our final answer is 23 over 20. Let's try another example, but this time I'll show you a way to get the answer even quicker. First, we multiply the bottom right with the top left, which equals 15, and put that as numerator 1. Then we multiply the bottom left with the top right, which equals 42, and put that as numerator 2. Then we multiply the denominators together, which equals 18, and put that as the denominator. Voila! Add the numerators, 15 plus 42, giving us 57, and we have our answer, 57 over 18. Just to double check, we will do the method from the first example, which essentially turns out to be the same as the quick version I just showed you. So we have 5 over 6 plus 7 over 3. We need a common denominator. That means finding a factor. Easiest way, multiply the denominators together. So our common factor is 18, which i.e. is common denominator. We want 18 on both denominators. So for 5 over 6, that means our version of 1 will be 3 over 3. For 7 over 3, our version of 1 will be 6 over 6. This is now turned into 3 times 5, 15, over 3 times 6, 18. And then the second fraction, 7 times 6 equals 42, over 3 times 6, 18. Common denominators, we're ready to add. This is now 15 plus 42 over 18. 15 plus 42 equals 57 over 18. And we're good to go. The same process can be done with subtracting fractions. The only difference is that we'll be subtracting numerators and not adding them. We first multiply bottom right with top left, which equals 20. Put that as numerator 1. Then we multiply bottom left with top right, which gives us 7. Pardon, we're subtracting. Put 7 as numerator 2. And finally, we multiply the denominators, 7 times 4, which equals 28. And we're ready to subtract. Subtracting the numerators, 20 minus 7 equals 13. And we have our final answer, 13 over 28. Let's double check. 5 over 7 minus 1 over 4. We need to find a common denominator. That means finding a common factor. Easiest way, multiply the denominators together. 7 times 4 is 28, so that's the common denominator we're trying to find. For 5 over 7, our version of 1 will be 4 over 4. For 1 over 4, our version of 1 will be 7 over 7. This subtraction now looks like 20 over 28 minus 7 over 28. Common denominators, we're good to subtract. 20 minus 7 over 28. And we get our final answer, 13 over 28, which is also the answer from the previous method. That is it for today's lesson, how to add and subtract fractions. We learned what a fraction is and 2 ways to add and subtract fractions so we can check our work like good mathematicians. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.